Okay, it's been a while, but we are hypothetically back in operation after some duties that we had to perform, which is to say, we were busy. So, what we're looking at here now is the results of our labor. As you may have seen on the Imagine Image website, we are embarking on a new idea, which is a quad game. And I may have mentioned this before, but this is now the image of part of it because the table is so big, a single camera can't capture it. So this is the life cam view, moved into position. And again, the difficulty here is that this is a basement operation. It is not a industrial complex with a massive high ceiling. If it was, we would have no problems. But because we do not source the expense of a industrial space, which I'm hoping will be relatively rectified, cameras can only be positioned as the ceiling allows. And in this case, we can't even do robotic controlled cameras because of the height of the ceiling. It's a normal basement. Except in some cases where the basement has, when we finished it, we modified the ceiling so that anticipation of the trying to get as much height as possible. Anyway, so here's what we're looking at. Two battlefields, left and right, and the other two battlefields are above it, beyond out of camera view. And on the right, hypothetically, because it doesn't matter, at the point of setting up the game at the convention, it won't make any difference, is Hex Command Nova. And on the left will be other. Could be American Revolution, Napoleonics, Ancients, World War II, doesn't matter. But it is interesting to note that because of the size of the tables, the games will not only be small but fast because you're right on top of each other from the get-go. And the idea here is that you move your units on each of the game tables spaces because it's really just one big table, and that you do that every turn just like you normally would on a big game battlefield. But these are four individual battlefields, and so you move your troops, conduct combat, and then the turn ends. Same as always. On the left, the comment that I wanted to make was that World War II presents an interesting challenge here, especially because we are in the scale of 172 or 22 millimeter. It means that not a lot of movement is going to happen because, again, you're right on top of each other from the get-go. And for instance, if you had a King Tiger tank in the game, it would virtually shoot across the entire table. I mean, hypothetically, it could. It's very close. And it will kill anything it hits. The number of damage points that the 88 L71 does to an opposing vehicle is extraordinary. That's why they kept using it. And thankfully, they had issues with the tungsten core of the shot because there was rumored that there were certain disruptions in supply chain. Fancy that. Toward the end of the war, which meant that the shells were not as good as they were supposed to be, and it was notable, or at least that's what the rumor was. So, another example of that supply chain issue: the Jagd Tiger, the biggest, most deadly German vehicle on the battlefield. And I won't say it's the biggest, most important or deadly or anything of the entire war, because that's not true. In my opinion, the Pershing came close to that, and the Russian JS2 also came close to that. Curiously enough, JS2s suffered, or JS3s were easily knocked out apparently in Hungary when the Soviets invaded. Go figure. One of my favorite tanks, and the first tank to use a properly sloped turret. Anyway, the point is the Jagd Tiger's 128 millimeter gun had some issues, so they didn't have them And they put 88 L-71s on some of the Yag Tigers. Now that is an interesting fact. I would like to have a Yag Tiger on the game table with, instead of the 128 millimeter gun, the L-71. But regardless, the 128 is classified as very heavy. The 88 L-71 is classified heavy, as well as the L-46 or L-48 on the Tiger 1. And the Panther, its 76.2 gun, although superior to the American 76 and the Russian 76. The fact is that the Panther is really a medium gun. Even though it's high velocity, we do give it a bonus of +1. We, unfortunately, in our attempts to be somewhat generic, we also have to give the American 76 of the HVSS Sherman, M3A8, I think it is called, the Easy 8. We also have to give that the same bonus, because they were very close. And I know in Fury it doesn't show it properly. For whatever reason, they went for the drama instead of the accuracy. The fact of the matter is, as we've said before, that Easy 8 that Brad Pitt was in could have taken on the front armor of that Tiger tank without having to get so close. He did not have to shoot the Tiger in the rear. And by the way, I personally have seen both those vehicles at Bovington in England. So I can tell you that it was just a fabrication. But the 76.2 American is comparable to the Panther. You could say no way, but you know what? Let's just go with it. Anyway, so there we are. And that's what we're doing. This is going to be Adepticon in March, and then RockCon in November, I think it will be. And then the Woodstock, the Wars in Woodstock, Illinois game day. And that's what this is all about. But this is, again, only the 2 battles of the 4. And it's going to be interesting to see how well it plays out. We've never done this before, and I don't think everybody else has either. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens. Now, one thing I do want to say before closing is that you would think, okay, well, there's 12 units per map, right? No. There's actually only going to be 20 units for the entire left and right side, if you will. Well, I should clarify. Each of the opponents will have no more than 20 across the entire game table of all 4 battles. That's all there's going to be, 20 to 22 units, all right? So across the whole thing. So Roman, German, Hex Command Nova, whatever the opponent is there, and then British, if you will. The opposing side will have no more than 20-something units across the entire game table. All right, so there we are. And I will get back and show more of this intriguing idea. This map, by the way, the terrain is completely hypothetical. I mean, it is completely conjecture, and it's not set in stone. The terrain is likely to change, because it's just, I threw it out there as I'm doing inventory, getting ready to finalize the orders of battle for these troops that are going to be in there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be American Rev, Hex Command Nova, Ancients, and World War II. So there we are.